What's up, internet friends? I'm Dave DeWhitt, and in this video I'm going to show you 3 simple and very familiar pentatonic-based patterns that you can use to play 6 different modes over the entire fretboard. This lesson is meant to be an instructional companion to several modal jam track videos that I've been publishing on my channel, which I'll link to. In those jam track videos, you'll find diagrams of these shapes that I'm about to show you, along with the chords and the progressions and some soloing tips. So please check those out. What I'm not going to cover in this video is basic information about pentatonic scales. So if you need to master that concept, or if you just need a refresher, be sure to check out some other online lessons on major and minor pentatonic scales and patterns, along with the concepts of relative major and minor keys, which will be important. I'm also not going to cover the fundamental music theory of modes here. I'm assuming that you already know what the modes are and how they sound, how they're used musically. But again, if not, or if you just need a refresher, there are lots of good videos about modes online and the theory behind them. So this video is really meant to be a more practical approach that will give you some tools that you can use in your solos and when you're improvising over chord changes. And it allows you to do it in any key, in any fretboard position, without having to learn and memorize lots of new shapes and patterns. So this is not the only way to think about using modes by any means on the fretboard, but I do think it's an easy way to start practically using modal sounds in your playing, so I hope it's helpful. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Also, please comment below if you have any questions or if you want to see anything else on the subject. All right, let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to use guitarscientist.com to diagram out these shapes. We'll start with the Dorian and Lydian pentatonic overlay. Here is the straight pentatonic pattern, the major minor pentatonic pattern. I'm going to map this out so that it lines up with a major pentatonic on the E at the 12th fret. So if this is your E root, then your major pentatonic is here. On the 9th fret is your C sharp, which is your C sharp minor pentatonic if you start down here, and that's your root note. So if that's not making sense to you, definitely check out some lessons on the pentatonic scale, the major minor pentatonic, and the relative major and minors, because this is E major and the relative C sharp minor. Okay. All we're going to do here is we're going to go in and we're going to overlay some notes that will make this sound Dorian if you're starting from the C sharp minor. And actually, let me just change the root note here. So if this is our root note, and actually I'll change it to show the note names. So here's the C sharp minor pentatonic pattern. And to make Dorian, to add in the notes that will make this sound Dorian, we can add in the D sharp, which is the 2. The E is at the flat 3rd, which is already in there since it's the minor pentatonic. The A sharp here is your natural 6th, and then the D sharp up here again is the 2. So between just adding in those simple notes there, that'll make this sound Dorian. I'll show you some other, there's some other places on the fretboard here, what I will call proximity notes that you can also add in. The same notes again. So for instance, this D sharp, you can add that in there, and you can add the A sharp here. And then you have some really cool 3-note patterns that you can that are very easy to get around in. But for now, I'm just going to show you the way that lines up with the straight pentatonic inside of this box here that everybody's kind of familiar with. So here's what it sounds like on the guitar. There's the C sharp, and all we're doing is adding in those extra notes. So you're familiar with the pentatonic, which sound like that. But if you add in, these are additional notes that you have in available to you if you're playing in a Dorian style. So that'll give you a Dorian sound. Now, if we shift and we put the root note up here on the E, effectively what we've done is we've added this. It's got it labeled here as a flat 5, but this is the sharp 4, which is the key color note for Lydian. And we've added in the major 7 here. So it's the same pattern, but if we switch the root to again, I'm going to put this back to the note names. This is your E major pentatonic. There's all your E's for your reference. And then we add in, here's the key, that A sharp, the sharp 4. The D sharp, the 7 is really nice as well. So very Lydian. And that's the simple pentatonic shape that you know and love already, with just those 3 additional notes added in there. Or actually, really, it's 2 notes, but three notes in the pattern on the fretboard. So moving on to Phrygian Mixolydian now. I'm going to do these for now in the same position on the fretboard. So here I'm going to put the pentatonic, the basic pentatonic shape back on the fretboard. I'm going to position it, like I said, in the same spot so that the minor pentatonic starts on the 9th fret root and the major pentatonic starts on the 12th fret. And let me put the note names in here. So if it's C sharp, again, so we're talking about a C sharp minor pentatonic shape, the notes that are going to make this Phrygian are going to be these additional notes. And what you're essentially doing here in the C sharp minor root is you're putting in the D, which is the flat 2, and you're putting in the A here, which is the flat 6. The B is already in here, which is the flat 7 of C sharp. So the flat 2, the flat 6, and the flat 7 are what are going to make the straight standard Phrygian sound like it does. Here's the C sharp root again for context, and then here's what so that flat 2 right off the bat is really what is the key for the Phrygian mode, I think, in my opinion. Now, there are some additional notes here that you can add in that fit into the pentatonic box. And I think, actually, if you're going to play like a scale like up and down like that, I think it does make sense to add them in here. So I'm going to go ahead and... that D right there, and that A right there. So that's your Phrygian shape. If you think about it in terms of the E major pentatonic again, then what you're doing, let me switch from the note names to the intervals real quick. So here's your 1, the root note on E, and what you're adding in for Mixolydian, the key here is the flat 7. So flat 7 is what makes Mixolydian sound Mixolydian. So here's your E's again to kind of reset your context here. So there's your excuse me, there's your E major pentatonic. And now you're going to add in this flat 7. For shape number 3, we're going to stick to the same position on the fretboard. I'll put the major minor pentatonic shape back here. Same spot. It's 12th fret for the major E major pentatonic shape and 9th fret for the C sharp minor pentatonic. And this time we will put in the modal notes that make for the Aeolian and the Ionian pentatonic overlay. So these are the Aeolian is the natural minor scale and the Ionian is the major scale. So these are very familiar. I'm going to go into my second layer here in Guitar Scientist, and the notes that you'll add to make the shape are just these notes right here within the pentatonic box. And so if I add in the note names, again, C sharp minor pentatonic shape is in the blue here, and we've been playing that quite a bit here, but I'll give you that again for context. And what we'll do is we'll add in the notes in green to make it sound Aeolian. Not a whole lot different than the minor pentatonic. It gives you a couple of additional color notes. The Aeolian is the natural minor, so what you're really ending up with there, if we show the intervals here. So in the pentatonic, let me change the root note here so we can see. In the root note, if the C sharp minor is the root notes down here, again, your normal minor pentatonic scale, you're going to have the root, the flat 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and the flat 7. When you're adding in the Aeolian, you're just adding in the 2nd and the flat 6. The flat 6, I think, is really the key here. But with the flat 6 and the flat 7, that's what makes it sound natural minor. If we change the root note up to the major root, the E major pentatonic here on the 12th fret, then the same notes that you add in are adding in your 4th. So let me play your E major pentatonic here to give you the. So E major, you're adding in the 4th. We'll start here, 4, and you're adding in the major 7. So really you're just taking the 5 notes of the pentatonic and you're adding the remaining 2 that give you the full major scale. Okay, so now this is where it's all going to hopefully pay off, all your hard work and making it all the way through this video. So I'm going to lay out these 3 shapes that we've learned, and instead of laying them out all at the 12th fret with the major root of the 12th fret and the minor root of the 9th fret, I'm going to lay them out now next to each other on the fretboard. And we'll use the key of A as our base to start with, but in the end I'm also going to show you how you can shift, because the modes are relative to your root, essentially, to the key that you're in. But if we start here with A, put the note names in. So this is your A major pentatonic shape, and what we'll do is we'll put in our Ionian notes here. So this is the A Ionian. So now if we're thinking of A Ionian, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp are the notes in the key. So let's walk up on this bass on this E string here, and let's put in the notes. So we know we've got F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp in the key of A. Get us all the way back up here to the A. It's an octave above. So we've essentially walked up the A major scale, if I've done this right. A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Again, this is the A major being the root, the 1 of that scale. And we're going to go up now and 1, 2, 3, 4 to the D. And we're going to use the D major pentatonic pattern. I'll put that in here. But because this is the 4th of the A major scale, we're going to put in Lydian. And again, this is where you need to understand the modes a little bit. So what we have here is now the Lydian pentatonic overlay. And if you go up from the 4th, which is D, 1 more whole step up, which is the 5th, that's E. Let's put those notes in as well. And the fifth of the major scale, that is going to be the Mixolydian mode. And I put my major pentatonic shape here. Then we can overlay the Mixolydian shapes. And you've already got some of them here. There's some overlap in what was already there from Lydian. These are also, yes, the A and the D on this string are available as well. So now, what that's essentially done, if we go all the way back up here, and I'll go ahead and just put in the A major back up here again. You've come all the way back to your A major pentatonic here. So you really have to think about this in terms of shapes. So there's your A major pentatonic shape here. Jumping up here, you've got your D major Lydian and your E major Mixolydian. So you've covered the entire fretboard with those 3 shapes. And I didn't put in the Ionian and Aeolian modal notes here. I guess I should do that just for completeness. Let's go ahead and put those in here. And we can use that D right there as well. So this is the 3 shapes over the entire fretboard. Now this is using this in the context of A. So if I play a little bit with these, so I'll start down here in the A major pentatonic shape. I can also shift up here and use my D Lydian shape in the D major. can use my E. So I've covered the entire fretboard pretty well in the key of A major, and used those shapes by knowing that the 4th is Lydian and the 5th of A major is Mixolydian. I can use those shapes in those locations on the fretboard relative to A and cover the entire fretboard. You can also, now here's where the modes really come in. If we shift the root note, the context of everything we're playing from A, let's now think of it over E. So if E is now our key center. So now playing the A major, or the A Ionian over the E context, that yields a Mixolydian. Here's the E. So now I just played an E Mixolydian. So again, same 3 shapes. It allows you to play modally over the entire fretboard, and you have to shift around. You have to know what your root is, what your key center is, and you have to understand the way that the modes relate to the root. You need to know what which step of the scale which mode applies to. But once you know that, this opens up the fretboard to play modally. So hopefully it's helpful. And if you have any questions or comments, throw them down below. I think I said this already, but if not, I know this is not the only way to approach modes by any means on the fretboard. I'm not making that claim at all. This is just something that I find, at least the way that I think it's easy. I'm so used to the pentatonic shapes. They're under all of our fingers from playing, if you're a rock or a blues player, you probably play the pentatonic, quite a bit. So this is an easy way to take the next step into thinking modally and to actually applying modes on the fretboard and playing over chord changes. So I hope this helps somebody out there. Check out my jam tracks. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe.